Good morning, good afternoon everyone, depending on where you are, and welcome to this Solid Edge Clinic number 14, Solid Edge Diagramming. I think most of you are aware that we have a little question and answer type panel on your interface there, on your GoToWebinar interface. If you need to ask any questions, please type it in there. If you could leave it to the end, it would be better, then I make sure I get all of them. But if there's something urgent comes up, I try and keep an eye on the question panel. We'll see what happens. Okay, Solid Edge Diagramming. Find the right button. Solid Edge Diagramming is something that it would appear that many of you are really not aware of. It's been around since version 18, which is 8 releases. It's a long time. It's a very productive tool for creating diagrams, whether they be electronic schematics, P&ID diagrams, they might be plumbing diagrams, they might be piping diagrams, they might be hydraulic diagrams or schematics. And you'll see as we go through, it's pretty easy to use. We've got a couple of things that you need to learn about that are a little bit new or different from what you've been doing. First is blocks. We use blocks to or describe components. If we look at the diagram we have here across on the right, we'll see we've got a fan, and we've got some switches, and we've got a controller board here, and some indicator lamps, and power sockets, and what have you. And this is a physical schematic of how something's wired. You might see this sort of wiring diagram in the back of your dishwasher or something like that. Very easy way to produce them, very professional way of producing them. And they're the blocks. We can see the blocks there, and then the lines between them are not lines in the conventional sense. They're connects. Now, connects are a special type of line that has attributes attached to it that we can use for other things later on, but there's several different types of line, as we'll see. There's some really good source of information in here, and don't forget to read the Solid Edge help. Search on blocks, you'll find a great deal of information. So we'll be covering blocks, connects, and there's another set of software options that we have that are the Edge drafting suite. We'll talk about those a little bit later, but that allows you to extend the use of your schematics, and we'll see how that works in a moment. Okay, what's a block? It's simply a collection of 2D geometry that behaves as a single entity. So you can drag it around, you can rotate it, you can position it. It has some logic associated to it, so it might have some connection points. If we look at the little switch we've got illustrated here, we've got 3 connection points: a common, a normally open, and normally closed. You might have an integrated circuit with 6 connections to it. You may have a T plumbing joint that's got 3, obviously, and so on. The block contains not only the graphics, but it contains information as well. And that information can be quite useful in downstream processing, and that's where the Solid Edge, the Edge PLM software add-on packages come in. We'll be looking at that as we go on. We can turn on the display of this information by selecting the Show Blocks icon on the Edge bar. So you'll notice there's an icon under the Parts Library area, which is called Show Blocks. That's in this illustration over on the right here. Blocks are similar to AutoCAD blocks, if you like, and we can use AutoCAD blocks on the fly. But what we'll see over here is a drawing sheet that contains a library of blocks, and any that we've got open currently we can pick the blocks from. And you can see the active document here. It's the machine blocks we have open. It's highlighted, and we have a list of blocks in here that we can access. So let's look at creating a block. Pretty straightforward, but let's just make sure that we understand what's going on. Okay, what I'm doing is just opening a draft file here with just some lines drawn in it. This is a little micro switch, if you like. So under our sketching bar, across on the right here, we have our blocks area. So we can, in the blocks area, we see it's create a block, do a block label, we can group things, and so on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a block. So pick the first option, and I get a toolbar up. And it's saying click on elements to add, or shift click elements to remove. What I'm going to do is just sweep select, and everything that's in the purple or highlight color there will be added to my block. I tick that off. It's now asking me for the origin of the block. Now, use something logical. I usually use this is connect point, is going to be the center of this pin here. So I'll set that as my origin because that's how I want to place it. Couple of other things that are going on here. We want to have a block name in here, and I'm going to call it micro switch. Micro SW. This little icon here means it says place occurrence. Now if I turn that on, what it will do is make the block and place this as a block straight away, so it's not available as just dumb geometry anymore. I want to leave that because we're going to make something else. So I say accept that, and over in our active document here we have the micro switch. So we have that block. If I zoom out a little bit and if I drag that in, I have a block that I can place. Notice the scale by default set to 2 times. I can set it back to 1 time. I can change the scale on the way in to anything I want, 0.5 and so on. Let's say we want that to be just 1 time. Okay, and I place the block. Now, okay, that's given us some, that's just a block, there's no other information in that at all. Let's say, for instance, I open this block and I come back, and let's have a look at the block labels. Now we can label things in the block. I can give it a name. So I'm going to give this, I'm going to call this name. That sounds a bit funny, but that's the name of the symbol. And the value I'm going to put in there will be SW1. It's a default value. We say OK. Now it's going to be shown on the block occurrence. So when this block is placed, we'll see it. It won't have the same value in all occurrences, so we've got the option of changing that SW1. We might have 3 switches in there, so it'll be SW1, 2 and 3. And to facilitate that, we ask for the block placement. We ask for the value during the block placement. Okay, so we say OK to that. Where do I want to put it? I want to put it right in the middle there. So close the block. Now you'll notice that immediately this one had SW1 placed on it because that's in there. So let's place that block again and place it, and it prompts me for the value. I don't know if you can see on your screen here, but the name area is grayed out. I can change that actually, but I can change this one to SW2. So say OK to that, and I'll place that one, and so on. If I drag another one in, and I'll place it as SW3, and so on. That's SW3, and so on. Those two I placed originally as SW2. This one's SW3 because I must have updated that as well. Take that one out. Okay. A couple of other things I might want to do on here. Let's just edit this again. I might want to, for instance, add some more block labels, but this time it will be there for a different purpose. Now I'm going to call one in O for normally open. I don't want to show it in the block occurrence, and I don't want to ask for input while it's being placed. I say OK to that. What I'm going to do is, you notice that the handle for that is right on the in the center of the text. I'm going to place that on the center of that edge. I'm going to do another one called NC, normally closed. These are the names of connect points, if you like. And put that one there. And then finally I've got one that I'll call COM for common. And again, that'll be there. let's just make sure I got that right, because I don't think I changed all the attributes I wanted in there. I don't want those two off. Thank you. And the same there. You notice I can right click and go to the properties and change them. So I was talking too much and wasn't paying attention. Okay, that one should be correct. Yes, they're turned off. So I can rotate that text as well. If you look at that while I'm placing the text, I can rotate it. Text angle, I could say 22 degrees. The other way, of course. Oh, excuse me. For some reason, there's something in the air up here in Queensland. We all seem to have the sneezes. My apologies. I couldn't reach the mute switch quick enough. Okay, so if we close that block, let's get rid of that one. Remember, this is not a block, it's just the geometry, and I bring this in again and go to place it. I want it SW1, we'll call it that, that's fine. And those other attributes are hidden. Now, they'll be used later. We may want to put text on here as well. We could edit that block so that we just put text on it. So if I just edited that again and I put a manufacturer's or some other name on here, I'd just put that in as straight text. So just using my normal annotation tools, I'd go for text, and I might say, might just put one on here called NC. And we could place that. And we'll notice we can see that in our preview. We can see the other labels in our preview as well. The use of those other labels will become clear when I position it. And this one I'll make SW2. Okay, the next thing I might want to do with these is have an alternate, have the switch shown as let's say this is actuated and I want to show it as open, and I want to show it as closed. So what I might do is just modify this a little bit, so like so, and I want to rotate that. I rotate it about that point. From there I will take it down to horizontal. I didn't want to copy that, did I? So let's do that again. Take that. Also those two lines. Shift select. If I zoomed in a bit closer, it would help, wouldn't it? If I now use the rotate, but turn the copy off, and I want to rotate around that point along that line and bring it down to horizontal, and just a little bit of clean up in here. Let's trim that off. Trim, click on my trimming tool, it will help. Let's see what we're doing here. There we go. Okay. Now what I want to do is have an alternate position for this micro switch. So if I right click on the in the edge bar here, I'm going to say I'm going to add a view, a block view, and it says which elements do you want to add. Let's add all of those. Tick that off, and the location point will be the same again, and the name for this will be closed. Now we've got, if we look at it, we've got closed. We can see the preview down here. We've got view 1. Well, we want to rename that, so I right click on it and rename that as open. Right click on it. So rename. Always helps if you can type. I can't, obviously. So there we go. We've got the two options there. So if I drag that switch in, close the block again, drag another copy of that switch in, place it, leave that as default, just escape out of that. Now when I select that switch on my command bar up here, you can see I've got the view, and the view I want to have is closed. Likewise with this one, I want to have that one as closed as well. So that's my original. So this is like a master in here, and I've got two versions, an open and a closed. It's fairly straightforward, not exactly rocket science, but as you can see, it gives us the opportunity to create a variation. Okay, let's move on. And I've managed to kill my slides. That was very clever. Sorry about that. Okay. The eagle-eyed among you will have probably seen this up in the annotation. It's the connect icon. This is an annotation command that allows you to draw connections for flowchart. You can use this for flowcharts as well, schematics, and electrical schematics, hydraulic schematics, what have you. It connects our blocks together through key points. And we've got four types. We've got a line, we've got a jump, we've got a corner, and you see there's two orientations of the corner. The first line, the red point is always the start, green is the finish, just in these illustrations. A jump jumps across a line. We'll show that in a moment. We've got a corner, which starts off as horizontal, then goes vertical, or you can start off vertical and go horizontal using the flip. You see the flip command in the command bar there. And we've got a step, which is horizontal, horizontal, or vertical, horizontal, vertical. And you can reverse those. So we'll actually draw some stuff up to work with those. So let's bring up a diagram that I've been working on from a little bit before, and I want to add some things in here. One of the things we've got to do is fix up this switch, make a switch here. This is just graphics for the brake line here. Put the switch in the brake line, and I've got to add one more signal unit here. So let's just zoom up on the signal here, and I've got to wire that in. So first thing is, it's a signal switch. It's a yellow one, and I'll just drag that in. And I want to line it up with the other one, so you'll see I can pick up center points on these, and with the blocks we can align them. There you can see very faint dotted lines. You should be able to see those aligned to those two objects. Now I've put my connector on my quick menu, on my radial menu, and this connector needs to go from here. And I don't want it to be a corner. I want this to be a line for the moment. I could have made it a jump, couldn't I? I want it to be about equivalent to there. I'm going to come across to just to that end point, dotted lines there, and down so it connects onto there. And it's a connector. Escape to get out of that. Now that's fine, except what I want to have here is, I made a mistake. I want to have that as a jump over, so one of these things. So we can change that on the fly by just changing the line type to a jump. And because of something else I did earlier, I've mucked up my little corner here. Put that onto there and bring that up so it's straight. Okay, with this jump, what I want to do is center it over this line. So I just pick its handle point, which is the dot there, and center it on that line. Now if I move that line, it will move with it. So let's see what happens. Look at that. Pretty neat. So they remain associative. Okay, we want to have a ground in here. Somewhere there I've got a ground, so I want to bring a ground in. And again I'll just line it up with the other two. There we go. And I want to wire that up. Now, okay, let's use the tool again. And this time I'm going to use a step. But I want my color to be black, and I want the thickness to be 1.4 like the others. So I'm coming up like that, and I want to go across there. So if I do a flip, we'll see the flip action, and I don't really need to do a flip action. What I'm going to do is just place it about there, and then use my select tool to position a little bit differently. So what I want to do is just pull that down onto there and connect it to the end of there, and we can line those up so they're correct. So on the fly I've drawn up a line, connected it, and created my line type and color, which we can report on subsequent callouts, which I'll show you shortly. To put this switch in, right now this is not a block, so we're going to create a block. Those are the bits and pieces we want. That's all the geometry I want. I want to zoom in because I want to get the origin. I'll put the origin there, and I'm going to call it break switch. And I'm not going to, so I've got that place occurrence turned off, so it's going to come in here as break switch. Now we want to make an alternate for that. I'm just going to close that a little bit just by dragging that in and trimming off the rubbish. There we go. And so break switch, I'm going to add a block view to that. Okay, which ones do we want? We want all of that. Tick that off. It's going to have exactly the same origin point, and call that closed. And the same thing down here again. We've got view 1. I want to have that, I don't want to open it, I want to rename it to open. That could be confusing, couldn't it? Okay. So I want to place my brake switch now in this line. So we're just going to pull our brake switch in and put it about there somewhere. Or I might want to flip it over. So if I use the A key, it will rotate anti-clockwise, A for anti-clockwise, and the S key, which just happens to be the one next, it will rotate it clockwise. But I want it over like this, so I put it there. Now we want to delete that connection, and I want to put a corner in here. Select my connector tool, and I want to have a corner from there. Now this time I want to have this turquoisey type color and the line thickness back to 0.7. There we go, and I want to connect to that point, and I need now a step up to here. I could just connect it to there. Let's see what happens if I do that. And if I use my select tool, I can grab that, grab its handle, and just pull it out like so. That's what I want. This one here I've managed to get the wrong color, so just make sure I select the right color. And there we go. I've put my brake switch in the line. I might want to line those two lines up a little bit better. There we go. And I put a brake switch in there. If I click on this brake switch, I can show it either the open position or the closed. There we go. And my schematic now is nearly finished. So let's save that because I'm going to come back to it. Okay, I've just had, this has given a sort of fairly brief idea of just drawing some schematics. It's pretty straightforward stuff. Okay. Just finding my next slide. I seem to lose my slides every time I close down here, so I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, slides are back. Let's take a look at the productivity tools that we add on. Okay, the productivity tools that we provide are known as the Edge PLM software drafting suite. And we've got a revision cloud. These are for drawing both internal and external revision clouds. I'm not going to show you that. And there's a little tool called a color changer. These are both productivity tools for people who are working in drafts and making changes in the drafts. So revision clouds are used widely by the infrastructure and construction industries, as is the color changer. The two tools we're going to be looking at today are the schematic information, which are effectively from two lists, and the block information, which gives us block count and block property lists. The interface for this is it's a proper add-on, so you'll see its own toolbar called Edge Software. Here's our cloud generator, here's the block information, here's the schematics, here's the color changer. In this illustration here, what I've done is I've done a from to list, a wire list, some block information lists, and this is the wire table. So let's take a look at something that's maybe typical of what we want to do here. Let's take this example just for a moment, and I'm going to examine the blocks in here. So let's go to the Edge software. I'm going to look at my my blocks. So I'm just going to extract a block list, and I want a block list of the fuses. We just wait for the interface to fire up, which it has done, and it's on a different screen, of course, because I'm using two screens. Here we go. Just wait for that to update for you. There we go. You can see the schematic options on there. Right, so occurrence, we've got the blocks. Now, I could put a mass on there. I could put lots of different properties onto these blocks. They're just property information. We can look at the occurrence tables. What am I looking at? I just want the fuses. So I want the 10, 15, and 5 amp fuses. I want all of those listed together. And the connections I don't really worry about. I picked the wrong interface while I'm there. My apologies. Block information. Oh no, I was in the right one. Yeah, working with two screens is awkward. Okay, the right table up. So we want to look at the block name and the quantity. The occurrences that I want to look at are the 10, 15, and 5 amp fuses. They're just the fuses I want to look at here. So I'm just going to say continue. If I hit the save, it will save my select options here. Just say continue for the moment, and it will go and calculate that table for me. And here it is. Wrong one. That's given me a list of everything. So I've got 4 of those, 2 of those. That's the component list it's given me. I think I've got something hidden behind the screen here. Just for a moment. Okay, let's see if I can get everything back on this screen. No, it wants to default to my other screen, so I've got to physically drag them in each time. That's okay, we'll just turn those on. Just take the 10 amp ones, and I'll save and continue on that. And that's still given me another. Okay, let's have a look at the schematic list. What I'm going to do is extract the schematic list, drag the window back in, and see what's happening here. Okay, it's extracting the information. Here's the okay, here's the occurrences again, and the connections. Now in the connection table, I can list all these occurrences, but I don't want to do that. I just want to list the basic blocks. and I want to look at the connections. Now, in the connections, I want connections that will loop back on themselves. I want to show those. I want open-ended connections, so if they don't actually go anywhere, they might be to input or output ports on an electrical diagram. I want both connection directions, so from and to and from. And I'm going to exclude some block labels here because I want to use the block labels to connect to, but I don't want to show those extra labels. So let's save and continue with that list. And now it's coming up with all the wire tables. Now I can put descriptions and diameters of those individual wires in there if I want to, and add those to a library. So wherever I've got a line width and a color, you can see the colors down here, and they're from my color tables. Those width and color combinations will link to a particular wire. I'm not going to do that for the moment because I haven't set that up, but we can set that up. So if we start looking at this diagram, there's my component count. There's my cable list, if you like. So it's telling me the description, line width, and the colors, and they all report back to here. And the other thing that's happening here, you'll notice that it's put item labels on each thing, and we'll see these items come up in here. So we've got item 1 is the battery. This is this here. So it's item 1. Item 25 is this ground. It's a component, the ground connection. Might be a physical connection. So it says from item 1 battery goes to item 25 ground, and it's a line type of 1, so it'll tell me what the color is here. It links back to my color table. Item 1 battery goes to junction 1, so we'll see that there's a junction here, this junction here of these wires. So junction 1 will go to the circuit breakers. If we look down here, where are we? If I come down here, junction 1 goes to the battery, junction 1 goes to item 4, the circuit breaker, and to item 3, the circuit breaker. So item 3 and 4, yes. So it's giving us a from to list. These might be used for physically wiring, they might be used for a from to list. We can put these on different drawing sheets and format them in different ways. If we look again at our options in here, of schematics, that's what I'm looking for. If I look at my options, just wait till that comes up for a moment, what I can see is I can position where these lists are going to be positioned and how they're formatted. So occurrences here, where the top, where the additional tables are going to be relative to the other one, and so on. We can also write to a file, so we can output these to a .txt file. So if I say write to file, it'll say schematic occurrences.txt in the current folder, and all I have to do is save the options or simply process that. So I can have that write to a file as well, schematic connection, schematic occurrence, and the component list, write that to a file. So the occurrences, I've turned off the occurrences now because I've already processed the connections, and we can save, we can cancel that for the moment. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward to do some of these things. Just to give you an idea very quickly, I'm not going to save that for the moment, of another way of doing this. Of a different application, sorry. There we go, finally got it up. What I want to do is to bring in some just simple plumbing fittings and do a that's what I want. That's not what I wanted. All right, that's the symbol I wanted, but I want to place it up the other way. Yes, if there's text with them, it will rotate. I want it to be that way roughly. So one about here somewhere, and another one in about here somewhere. Doesn't matter where they go, I will straighten them out later. I might just put a line between those. Sorry, wrong type. A connect between those, so I'm putting a connect from here to here and from here to there, and they're both step type connects. So if I move one of my components, here's my select tool here, and move that component to here, then we get that step. I want to put an elbow in here, so place the elbow. Now I'm going to do a direct connect on this elbow. I want it that way. So it's like so, and put the other one round the other way. Oh, I could have done the S, couldn't I? Just think about it, put it there. And I might have then a valve, a gate valve associated with those. It's just along here somewhere, that's all. So I might have a connection to that. Or I might put them down, just rotate them so that they're down here. Okay, and then a connect. And we want a corner connect in each one of those. There's the endpoint there, and from there, end of there, to that endpoint. Okay, now the colors of those, if I select those, so if we look at our select tool here, and I color that one, I'm going to make this one black and 1.4, and I'll make this one black and 1.4, and this color, which is red and 0.5, will do something else. So what I'm going to do is do my schematic extract here. So I'm just going to extract that. It takes it a second or two for this to process, and when that comes back, what we'll do is adjust the table. Here we go. Now why that's on a separate sorry, there we go, my apologies, that went behind that time, so using this two screens is not a tremendously good idea. What I'm going to do is just say continue to that, and it's going to come back and give the line type definition. So for this, what I want to do is where it's 1.4 black, I want that to be pipe. PVC, and let's say that's 100mm, and this one's going to be hose, poly, and let's say 50mm, and I can add that to the library and say OK, so that when I get my table back, here we go. Yeah, sorry about that. It's the two screen thing has it confused. What we see here is line type 1 is that one, is the 100mm PVC, and line type 2 is the 50mm. And here's my connect list, which you can see with the types of hose. So moving along, and I've got my quantities in here as well. Of course, it being a schematic doesn't give me the lengths of these because they're irrelevant. They're just showing connection and the type. Where I've got a direct in here, that's a direct connect between the T and the elbow, so the elbow screws straight into the T in that condition. Okay, one more thing. So we've seen our schematic lists, our block information. Schematic lists and block information usually get combined. So how do you get it? You've already got it. You've already got, all of you will have Solid Edge Draft, and you have these fundamental tools in here. You don't have the drafting suite from Edge PLM software, but you have all the tools that you need to create libraries. Oh, one thing I was going to show you, there are libraries that are supplied with the system. So if I come into here and I want to look for where the libraries are, they're going to be on your C disk, program files, where Solid Edge is stored. Solid Edge ST4 and sample blocks. So you've got electrical, mechanical, piping. Let's have a look at our mechanical, fluid power, and valves. Down in here is a preview of them, and we get previews of the individual components if we look through them. So there's a whole lot here that you can use or modify. We go up the list there. I want piping. We want screwed. And if I double click on it, we get the draft file with them all in there. If I close down that draft file, I get the screwed fittings, and again here are all the screwed fittings. Schematically, the screwed fittings are showed with a T-type end. Okay, block libraries, you can add to them. You can import them from AutoCAD. When you do, they'll be converted on the fly. So if you bring in an AutoCAD drawing that's full of these, you can just drag them out of the edge here, and they'll get converted. So if you open them with blocks in them, so if you open a draft file with blocks in it, you'll see all the blocks that are available within that file using the block menu. And when you drag it into Solid Edge, it becomes a Solid Edge block. It couldn't be simpler. Okay. So to add the drafting suite, which we looked at the end there, that gives you intelligence and reports from to lists, wiring lists, reports on the blocks. You might have all sorts of properties in the blocks that you need to keep track of. So you might need part numbers and those sorts of things. They can all be added to the blocks, and they'll come out in the block lists. They'll be reported. And that adds to your existing Solid Edge draft program, the draft environment. If you've got colleagues or people in your business who just want to draw schematics and layouts, you know in the draft program you can use that for drawing, 2D drawing. It's parametric 2D drawing. It'll open any AutoCAD file, lots of different 2D file types. It'll save in different file types, including DWG and DXF, or in Solid Edge format. It's got the same user interface as Solid Edge, of course, so that's consistent. That's available as a package with the Edge PLM drafting suite for $900 plus GST, and that includes a year's maintenance, enhancements, and support. So it's pretty good value. It's got a lot more in it than AutoCAD. AutoCAD Lite, which is, I don't know, $1,700, $1,800, something in there. It's half the price. So there's a schematic package built into Solid Edge that you probably didn't know you had. It's very useful. Have a play with it. It will give you a lot of attributes. If you're serious about schematics and want parts lists and those sorts of things, you'll increase your productivity and functionality with our drafting suite. And you finally, the most important thing that's happened with quite a few of our customers, it's removed reliance on other 2D packages. You can switch to Solid Edge. Remember, you can start off with Solid Edge. You can get an unsupported version of Solid Edge Draft. You can download it for free. It can't get any better value than that. You can enhance the value. You can have a supported version, which has the API, so we can add things onto it. It gives you a little bit more flexibility, and you don't have to download it. You've already got the disk for that with your Solid Edge stuff. So if you're a Solid Edge user already, this previous one here is good value. So if you've got Solid Edge, you want to add just a drafting seat with the Edge PLM software, $900, good value. Okay, questions and answers. I've seen a couple come in. I haven't answered them on the fly because had things disappearing off the screen. Sorry about that. I think there's one here from Tony. What happens if you rotate with text in the box? Yes, it will adjust. When you scale the block also, you notice there's you can, it's on by default, but the text will scale with the block, so it stays at the same relative size. You can turn that function off if you don't want it on. Most people use it on. That's why it's the default. So any more questions? Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Can you run a webinar on the Solid Edge API? That's from Andrew. Yes, look, Andrew, we are contemplating doing that. It takes a little bit to set up, but you know, basic how do I write a routine to do X, Y, Z? We can no doubt do that, and I'd work with Tom to do that. But good point. It is in my list actually, Andrew. So you know, then it comes to what programming language do you want to use. The preferred programming language is .NET, Microsoft's .NET suite. So which is sort of an extension of Visual Basic. It's a long time since I've written programs, so I don't. It's probably a good time to have one of these, isn't it? No other questions? Everybody understands everything. Could I ask some questions? Do I need to have an active copy of Solid Edge in MAS to get the free 2D? No, you don't. No, that's a good thing. Anybody in the world can download Solid Edge 2D for free. You get a license with it. That license lasts for 12 months. And that's only to prompt you to get a new one at the end of 12 months, because we update them at least every 12 months. Or you can stay with the same version, just download another license. But it is perpetual. So you know, thank you for that question. It's actually a very useful one. But yeah, it's free. You cannot add the Edge PLM software drafting suite add-on to the free version, because the free version doesn't have the applications programming interface. We were talking about the API before. That's what the API is, applications programming interface. No other questions? Should I ask questions? Look, thank you all for your attention. Just a quick note. Next time I'm going to be away in a fortnight's time, so in 2 weeks from today. So it'll probably be delayed by a week, but I will get you. I'll get you updates on that. But to get the 2D into support, what would I do? Good question. What you'd do, and if you've got any questions about getting any of these products, of course, talk to your local business development manager, John or Lee or Barry, or simply email info@edgeplm.com.au, and we will tell you how to do it. It's actually fairly straightforward. It's not a big deal. With the supported version 2, you get all the Solid Edge updates. So as you know, about once a month or so, there is a Solid Edge update issued, and those also apply to the 2D, as you probably, those people who are getting those now are probably aware. Okay, as I said, next time we're probably delayed a week, but you'll get your usual email, so be looking for that. And it just remains me to thank you for your attention and your questions, and I look forward to next time. And if you've got any ideas for future webinars, things you'd like to see, don't make it too complicated for me, but just pop me an email. Thank you. Thank you, James. And Dale. I'm signing off for now, and well, I'll see you next time.